obviously rubber gloves, but they had flavors. So he's like, "What's your favorite flavor?" He had like strawberry, vanilla. I was like, "Yeah, you know." So that was one of those things.
Yeah.
But what's some of the biggest things that gets looked over as far as dental hygiene goes with kids and stuff like that?
I think
Even adults, I mean.
yeah, even adults. Diet plays a huge role in your dental health. Brushing is one thing, but if you eat something gummy or sticky, like candy, that's going to get stuck in between your teeth. And if you're not flossing that out, that will stay there for a very long time.
Does it like calcify, and then that's why you got to go in there?
It's like a sticker. Like if you eat something, if you put a sticker on a wall, pull it off, there's still like stickiness there.
Yeah.
So if you eat something gummy and it gets between your teeth, now it's going to attract plaque there. Plaque is like bacteria and germs that's going to create the cavity as it eats that sugar on your teeth.
I'm like a stickler for not a stickler, but I'm like super interested in like weird fun facts. And I remember hearing I think it was a biologist or an archaeologist. What are those? Anthropologists. And he was talking about I think it was Pompeii or some ancient civilization, and they said like their teeth were super white, super clean because their diet was good. And the reason a lot of people have to get their wisdom teeth pulled out is because of years and years of malnutrition. Our mouths got smaller, and all our teeth can't fit in our mouths, so that we have to get them pulled out. And I thought that was crazy. Like nobody knows that.
Yeah, and now going off what you said, also humans are starting to not develop all their wisdom teeth. So some kids will see they only have 2 wisdom teeth, or they'll have 3, or they may have 1, or they don't have any. So we're starting to like evolve and not even
I didn't even
have
know that.
wisdom
Wow,
teeth
that's the
because
first time
our bodies are changing.
When I go to the dentist, they always say floss, floss, floss. And then lately, because technology is always getting better and better, they're saying like, you should get this toothbrush, which is like the mechanical toothbrushes and stuff. Yep. Are there some that are better than others, or some that people think that sell really good but they don't help at all? And
I love electric toothbrushes. I have 2 favorites. The ones that do the best job are the Sonicare toothbrush and the Oral-B toothbrush. They're pretty much competitors. They just have both. It depends what you like. The Sonicare, their heads are different. So the Sonicare head vibrates and is a longer brush head, and then the Oral-B is a circle brush head, and it actually like oscillates and rotates around. So they work a little differently, and it's just a preference of what people like.
But they still work like effectively enough that either one you get, you're gonna be fine.
Exactly. Some toothbrushes that I don't love as much, the Quip toothbrush, it vibrates and it is sold like an electric toothbrush, but I don't think it's as powerful. So I've never tried it, but I've heard like negative reviews from other dental professionals.
When you started this grassroots, are you a nonprofit or anything, or are you just?
Yeah, so we're an established nonprofit.
So from March, you started in March, and from then to now
So in March, so when we started this idea, we had to first file with the state to establish our incorporation, that we were a business. And
you knew off the rip that you were going to be a nonprofit.
That was the idea from the start. Once I saw that we had so much support, I was like, I think we can keep this going. And I was like, why not make it a nonprofit? And if it fails, like, we're not taking any profit from it. So, I mean, if anything, kids get more toothbrushes.
Right.
So we had like a little bit of money to play with that to get those statuses. It was pretty simple.
And what was your train of thought? Like, how, from it developing, what were you thinking this was going to turn out to be, and how has it changed since then?
So from starting, like I said, pretty much started with a basic idea of just giving a dental kit. We're still pretty much in that basic phase, except now we did our first event with the Block Gives Back. So we were in the community. We had a table. We did a raffle for an electric toothbrush. So we're kind of growing. The first outreach, we just had people help us get the toothbrushes out of our house. This time we took those toothbrushes and did something bigger with those and tag teamed with another nonprofit and
put them in book bags so they can take them home. Because kids always need toothbrushes.
They always need toothbrushes, and I think having a clean smile is really important for kids to go back to school. One thing I found this week is dental decay and oral health problems are the number one reason why kids stay home from school.
Really? How'd they find that out? Like,
well, it's also, so dental decay is also the number one disease among people because it's so common.
And it can cause like heart disease and stuff like that too, right?
Yep. So the plaque in your mouth can correlate and eventually get to your heart, your brain, get to your whole body. So, not to scare anybody.
Yeah, right.
And that's in very few words. There's a lot of more technical and like scientific facts to go with that, but
what do you do any events throughout the year, you know, besides working with the other nonprofits and stuff like that, to like what kind of, or do you have any ideas for fundraising or getting more, you know, funds and
So we launched our t-shirt launch this week to just sell some t-shirts. We started.
Yep, there it is. Yeah.
Yep. We started over the weekend. I brought T-shirts for our we had one volunteer to help with. So I brought my bag of T-shirts, and we just were like, why don't we just start? The plan was to sell them. So we're like, why don't we just start now? So I think we sold about 8. We had 10 T-shirts, and we sold 8 of them this weekend. And then on Monday, I sent out to my email list, hey, we're doing a pre-order. And I think we were already up to another 10.
So you have like a newsletter? Or
I have an email list, so that's from when I first started. I started collecting emails from people who donated or people who are interested in volunteering, and I'm trying to build that up. So right now I'm at like 100 emails. So I try to keep like whoever has been interested in JKL Smiles to keep them going. Without social media and my email list, I probably, and with COVID, I wouldn't have been able to see anybody.
Right.
I'm not in my usual routine where I'm talking to, like, going out to, like, happy hours or anything to, like, network. So that's where social media has really helped me, like, branch and, like, grow this nonprofit. And this idea of, like, spreading that one act of kindness, like, something small can, like, become very big.
Yeah. What, how do you get your email list? Like, how does that get set up? You know, you get obviously you have a list of emails that people donate that are interested, but how do you mass? I don't know anything about that. And what do you put in those email lists?
So my email list is very basic. There's so many business models that you can like pay for, but right now I just use Google List, and also an app or website called Canva. And that is pretty much like,
oh, I know.
Yeah, you can make that. You can
thing, right?
You can make like pictures and little newsletters on there. I usually just people love pictures, so I usually just like put a picture of what we did. Like my letter from this week, I put 4 pictures from the block event. It was like update 1,800 toothbrushes have been donated. Here's our new T-shirt design. Pre-order. Send me an email if you're interested. Very short and quick because people don't have time to. For me, I don't think people are going to want to read
unsubscribe to something at least every day. Yeah,
I know. So I try to keep it very basic, and I don't do it often. I've only sent out like 2 or 3 emails so far since we started. So I try to keep it like once a month, maybe ever bi-monthly.
So you're taking the time to actually put it in there, and people can actually see where their donations are going, because that's one thing I think I've talked to with a lot of people that I recently interviewed is whoever gives back, they only give back to certain organizations, and sometimes those organizations are so big that they don't believe that they're, you know, the bottom line for that organization is making a buck. But with nonprofits, a lot of times it's blind trust. But with a grassroots organization like yours, you know, putting up, hey, this is what we did with your money. We gave away 1,800 toothbrushes, and I think that's awesome, and it gets people more engaged. So.
Right. Yeah, I tried. If they're not on social media, that's where the email list comes really in handy, because not everyone's going to check social media daily. So I can just take a couple blips of what happened the last month, blast it out in an email list, be like, hey, here's what you missed. Like, your money's at work. We're doing the work. Trust me.
When you went on Good Morning America and the news approached you about all those things, and you, what seems like almost immediately, got an really good exposure to everything, were you ever overwhelmed, or like, were you ever like, man, I don't know if I can keep this up, or, you know?
I've been overwhelmed a lot, and I probably hit 2 breaking points where I've just like felt so overwhelmed that I just needed like to step back. So in June, I also went back to work.
Okay.
So now I'm working 4 days a week. And
on top of the nonprofit.
On top of the nonprofit. So I'm working around I would wake up, grab my phone, immediately start doing JKL Smile stuff, go to work, do hygiene, put on all the PPE that we have to wear, take it all off, go to lunch, do it all again, go home, and then start JKL Smiles again. So I just needed to like set some boundaries.
Yeah, it's almost like 2 full-time jobs. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of stuff you're doing.
Right. And you asked before, where do I see this going? I have a team of I have a board now since I am a nonprofit, and I'm kind of just leaning on them. We're going to have a meeting probably in the next month or 2. And I just want to ask them, be like, where should we go? Like, long term, could we become like a sealant or like a treatment van where we like do hygiene appointments and awesome, go places? When we did the block thing, I was like, that would be cool. We had like a van and like kids could come up and like get their teeth checked.
Especially because in the underserved and underrepresented communities, especially in Philly, they don't have health insurance. Some of them don't see, doctors or dentists for years, and then they got to get veneers and stuff like that when it's too much money or when they're too old.
Yeah. The best thing about Pennsylvania is they require a dental form for ages 5 for kindergarten, 3rd grade, 7th grade. So minimally kids should be seen at those ages, and that's to rule, like, just to make sure they're getting the care they need. But I know not every kid is lucky enough, or
the parents don't got time to take them, or circumstances.
Yeah. Every household is so different.
How many people are on your board?
5, including myself.
Do you guys ever have like creative differences where you're like you created this?
Yeah.
But because you have a board now, everybody has to come together and agree on something, but like this is your baby. Mm-hmm. So when people, like, I have a podcast, I'm a one-man show, but if I had a previous podcast where I had 3 people and we were always clashing heads on, we would do segments where we would record and we would have to stop and be like, that doesn't sound right. It's like, let's just go with the flow. And it's just always, bickering back and forth.
So we've had one one Zoom meeting so far, like nothing really official for my board, but one thing that came up, they were like, oh, let's give out electric toothbrushes to every kid. And I'm like, that would be amazing to give out electric, but I was like, but we don't have the funds for that. So, I mean, I love that idea and I love electric toothbrushes, but being able to get out 1,000 toothbrushes for basically $1,000 versus, I don't know, 200 toothbrushes, like, you look at the numbers and it's just, actually, you probably even less, probably like 40 toothbrushes if you did electric ones. Wow. I can't do the math in my head, but it's like way different. Yeah. So you're able to reach a lot more people, and like at the event, we did have a raffle for 2 electric toothbrushes, which, I mean, we're doing our best, and I just think if we can reach more people, that's the way to go.
And that's the thing, like, I'm sure electric toothbrushes are great, but also kids don't really care to brush their teeth too much, so you're going to put out that much money when, you can get 89-cent whole bag of stuff versus just a toothbrush.
Yeah, I agree. I think electric toothbrushes do a great job, but yeah, like we're saying, just getting it to more kids. And hopefully, the goal is to like spread like dental education and just hopefully kids that we reach enjoy brushing and like are excited about it.
That was another question I was going to have for you. How do you get that across to kids, like in a fun way where they're interested and engaged? Because like we said, not